This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves, toll free at 1-888-962-0007. Again, that's 1-888-962-0007. Or go to www.reevesfirm.com.
Welcome to another edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today. I am your host, Attorney Anthony Reeves. Let's get to your questions. I'm receiving Social Security and I'm thinking about applying for some online classes. How is that going to affect my case? Okay. The reality is that, well, let me not give you the long spiel. Let's go right into it. It depends, okay? The fact that you're taking online classes is not the online class itself that you're talking about. It's the context of how you take it in relation to your condition. Here's what I mean. Like, let's say you have an emotional condition or a depressive condition where you have a hard time dealing with people, so you prefer to be by yourself. So you're going to online classes because you'd like to further your education, but you don't want to be in a traditional classroom environment with a lot of people. Online classes are perfect because why? You're sitting behind your computer. No one can see your face. You don't have a crowd of people. It works out perfectly. The question then becomes, what is the context of how you're doing those online classes? And what I mean by the context, I mean, ask yourself a variety of questions. Are you able to make it through a class? Meaning, if the class is an hour, are you able to make it through that entire hour? Or do you have to come back later and listen to it because you can't focus for the entire time? Do you find yourself having to repeat the class? Meaning, not repeat it, meaning having to repeat the entire class. But let's say you have a lecture today and they record it. You go to the live lecture, but for some odd reason you're just not retaining the information. You're having to listen to the lecture multiple times to be able to retain the information that you're taking. You're having to repeat the class itself, meaning every time you find yourself doing a class, you're not retaining enough, so you're having to go back and keep repeatedly taking a class. And I'm doing that on a mental standpoint. So let's talk about a physical standpoint as well. For online classes, you're probably going to have online assignments. So you're going to probably have papers to do, maybe group discussions, or maybe assignments that you have to get done. Are you able to get those done in a timely fashion? Does the school have you on any type of special program whereby they know that you're having some difficulties and they have to compensate for that? Meaning they give you a little extra time to do the assignments. Maybe they do alternative assignments. Look at the way you study for your exams. Are you able to study straight through? Meaning, do you study like an hour a day? Or is it one of those things where you have to study from bed because you can't really sit at a table and you only study maybe 10 to 20 minutes at a time? The reason why I say that is I'm saying all these different things is because a lot of times what happens is people focus solely on the context, solely on the class itself, but not the context. In other words, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to take an online class. How's that going to affect me? Well, don't focus so much on the online class as much as you need to focus on how you're getting through the online class. Now, if you're thinking about taking online classes, you're kind of in a weird spot because you really don't know how you're going to do when you get in there. But the reality is, when you're trying to decide, whether it be from the standpoint of you're receiving disability benefits and you're worried that because you're taking online classes that it may affect your benefits, or whether you're applying for disability and you're worried about how that's going to affect it. The question is not so much you taking the online class itself. The question is you need to be prepared to explain in detail how you're taking those classes. Meaning everything I just went over. Meaning, are you needing extra time? Do you need extra help? Do you need extra tutoring? If you fail classes multiple times, all of those things, because those are the questions that Social Security is going to want to know to make a determination of whether or not that online class, meaning your ability to do that online class, if that can give an indication of whether or not you're able to do work. Again, this is Attorney Anthony Reeves. I want you to stay tuned, and when we come back, I'll let you know what our next show is going to be about. On our next edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today, we will talk about representative payees and what happens when Social Security determines that you have to have one. Again, this is Anthony Rees, and this is your Q&A Social Security Disability Today.